every once in a while in wrestling, something big will happen. And I'll put my opinion out there in the form usually of the Going In Raw podcast. Usually I do the stuff there first. And then because if it's a big deal, that's where most of my money comes from. And out of respect to Larson, we're in that together. And then this is sort of the side project. So then I'll bring it over here, Wrestle Juice, and I'll pontificate more on it. But every once in a while, something will happen where I'll put my opinion out there. And our audience will not feel the same way. It doesn't happen very often because what you sort of realize as a content creator is as the years go on and as you sort of build the audience, or as the audience comes and finds you and discovers you and stays with you, you realize that the reason why they stay with you is because they sort of vibe with your opinion. You know, you put some stuff out there, they either think, oh, wow, that's a good point. I kind of understand where these guys are coming from, and so I'm going to stick around with them. And that's what me and Larson have been able to develop, and similar here over at Wrestle Juice. And so, yes, oftentimes a program or a show or a video series or a podcast, it becomes a bit of an echo chamber. I mean, this is nothing new. This has been happening since media really became a thing, right? And so it's funny to me whenever I'll put my opinion out there about something, and this is probably the biggest one that's ever happened was back in 2019 when Seth Rollins versus The Fiend at Hell in a Cell here in Sacramento went down, and the ref stopped it because Seth Rollins was literally about to murder Bray Wyatt, and the ref was like, no, that's going too far, and everybody hated the finish, except for me and Larson. When we did our podcast, oh my gosh, the blowback was crazy. People were like, what are you talking about? This is like the worst thing we've ever seen. And I was like, yeah, what were they supposed to do? Like, let Seth Rollins kill Bray Wyatt? That didn't make a whole lot of sense. I understand where people are coming from. I think it was also symptomatic of a lot of the booking at WWE at the time, but also that ending was pretty bad. It's just, I sort of understood the logic of what they wrote. Today, this happened. CM Punk dropped a Punkanomics, a Doctor of Punkanomics rap on John Cena. And I thought for sure that everybody was going to think it was as cringe as I thought it was. And I was wrong about that. Although, interestingly, this is not as one-sided as the Fiend situation was. The opinions on this are all over the map, but I was genuinely surprised today because as soon as the Doctor of Thugonomics Word Life thing popped on, the music popped on, and CM Punk came out, I picked up my phone and I texted Larson. I said, oh, wow, this is going to be bad. And he said, yeah, this is embarrassing. And Punk comes out and he does the thing. And Larson texts me back and says, that was awful. And I was like, oh my God, I know. And so, you know, we clown the shit out of it on the show. And then I noticed the comments start to come in. And it's like, no, man, this is great. What are you guys talking about? This is amazing. This is the best promo of the year. I'm like, whoa, wow, this is interesting. And I think it's totally fine. I'm not complaining or whining or anything like that. That's the great thing about this is wrestling. It's silly, cheesy, absurdist wrestling. And it's like, who am I to think something is cringe when it's literally fake fighting? It's simulated fighting. It's all corny. It's all silly. It's all cringe. But this, in my opinion, went a little bit too much into the cringe territory. But that's over at the Going In Raw podcast. And so I was like, you know what? I'll take another look at this on Wrestle Juice. So I watched it again. I still hate it. I still think it's really cringe. But I asked the Wrestle Juice audience what your opinions are of this. I simply posted up a community thread that says the CM Punk Doctor of Punkanomics promo was, and then I let you guys fill in the gap. And so today, given that CM Punk touts himself as the voice of the voiceless, I am going to hand the floor over to you, and I'm going to react to your reactions to the CM Punk Doctor of Punkanomics, the Punk Life promo. The Heat is On 76 says this was on brand with this feud. Crowd loved it, so it's a win. Well, there you go. You got two things. Number one, it was on brand with the feud. This past Monday, we saw John Cena do his own version of the pipe bomb, CM Punk's most famous promo, and arguably John Cena's most famous promos was his original Doctor of Thugonomics thing, and the crowd objectively was into this. And I guess maybe they wanted to do something a bit more cartoony, given that they weren't sure how the crowd was going to respond to CM Punk, who earlier in the day, or yesterday, I think it was earlier in the day, apologized to the Saudi people for the tweet that he made 6 years ago to The Miz where he was talking about, or he slandered the whole WWE Saudi Arabian government deal. And now he's over there and he's, oh boy, he's saying how much he loves being in Saudi Arabia. Let's move on to this next one here. Let's see here. I'm gonna head out. Says, it was the perfect amount of goofy wrestling for me. Let's see here. What else? Oh, wow. College Dude Trip says, paid and bought by Saudi Arabia. That is factually accurate. They did buy and pay. Well, I don't know if they paid yet, but they did buy this. Payment probably to be decided later. If that, like, remember when they got held up in the plane that one time because like they didn't want to pay, or Vince McMahon was like, you better pay out. Isn't it weird that they wouldn't have like language in the contracts, like when and how this is going to get paid out? Did they give Vince like a giant sack of like dollar bills or something? How did that work? LJ Mickey seemed to have been inspired here. Says, I might order myself a Cubs jersey and a Bulls hat. He looked good. This is what LJ Mickey wants to go out partying wearing. He wants to go to the bar with the jersey, the Cubs jersey, opened up like this, beef flowing, jorts, all that. Ozzy says, felt like a 50-year-old drunk uncle still thinking they're cool. Au contraire, a 50-year-old straight-edge uncle thinking they're cool. Bernard Hedspeth says, phenomenal. Bucket Dipper says, as MJF said to Punk and AEW, you might as well come out here preaching hustle, loyalty, and respect. CB Knoll says, summarized everything Cena said about Mr. TKO last week. One thing that I have noticed, like on the social media, is that the apology is not going over well with a vast swath of people. Now, maybe these are people that are just sort of waiting and they knew this was coming and they were just ready to pounce on Punk because they're just naturally CM Punk haters or whatever. But it will be interesting. I'll just say this. It'll be interesting long term to see if there's any blowback on CM Punk. I suspect there won't be. I suspect most people understand, hey, he's back in the company. They have him in a prominent spot. He probably does want to get that world championship. And so this is just part of that game. This is part of what you got to do. And I'll be honest with you, I don't really have much of an opinion on the fact that he has run it down so often in the past. And now he's in a situation that he probably didn't think he was ever going to be in, where it's like time to put up or shut up. He's getting paid a shitload of money. He understands how the game works. That's heavier business than I really want to get involved in. But, he made his decision. It'll just be interesting to see how the fans react from here on out, I guess. Heel Harrison says, better than Cena's pipe bomb. This was a sentiment that I saw a couple times in this thread. Interesting. I don't necessarily agree with that one, but Andrew Sharp breaks it down, says, I think the objective was clear. Punk accused Cena in this whole feud of stealing his best material, pipe bomb, leaving, so it was Punk's turn to steal Cena's best material, which was this goofy gimmick in which the irony lies because it's not good. Enzo says, like the 4th season of The Boys when they started doing things like musical episodes. Fun, but literally nobody asked for this, and it's not the direction it should have gone. The Boys did a musical episode? I dropped out of The Boys I think midway through season 2, a couple episodes into season 2. It was just way too cynical for me. I always catch little clips on YouTube though. For some reason I was pushed one The Boys clip and it was like a Homelander, I don't know, blowing a hole through somebody because they were rude to him as a kid or something like that. And I was like, God damn, this show is messed up, but I always watch those clips. Maybe I should just give the show another shot. I hear really good things about it. Bad Robot says, as cringy as it was supposed to be. Interesting. The idea that, hey, let's go out there and do something cringe. What would be the reason for doing something that's kind of mildly embarrassing? Is it like, I'm going to make myself look like an asshole to kind of clown John Cena because he looks like an asshole? Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's something to that. Bantu says the humiliation and burial of Punk is real. Triple H has stripped everything Punk about Punk. As a fan, a double turn with Punk winning the title and being fully booed in Saudi would be it. But Hunter's got a Hunter. Wow. A burial of Punk? Humiliation? I don't know. I did actually see that take on Twitter. A couple people were saying, a couple of the prominent IWC names on Twitter were saying, yeah, no, this is totally, he's getting punished for, I don't know, I guess being rude to Saudi Arabia in the past or something like that. I don't know about that, man. I kind of feel like a punishment situation would not be conducive to them being on the same page working creatively. And I'd just be kind of surprised if Triple H did that. But maybe in his own way, the irony is not lost on Triple H sitting there in Gorilla watching CM Punk do this. Maybe he's quietly thinking to himself, this guy looks like an asshole. That's what he gets. Ken Adams' business firm is beside himself. People didn't like that. Yeah, guilty on that one. Angel Zeros proclaims fucking great. He's parodying John Cena. Has always looked and sounded cringe, except when he gives people cry face, but he's not doing that anymore. It was stupid and genius. Jesus, that's a lot. That was stupid and genius. That's a lot to unpack there, man. Hung Top John says, didn't watch. He apologized to Muhammad and I turned it off in disgust. So there was a fella named Muhammad in the crowd that Punk apparently was demanding that Punk apologize to Saudi Arabia. And that's when Punk, with an awkward laugh, totally did apologize and then went down and apologized to him even further. So, yeah, that's a lot of crow eating there. Luke Miller says, made CM Punk look like an old head. I mean, he is. He's my age. That's where we're at now. Christian says, no, just no. This was just like Cena's pipe bomb. Hollow, but way more cringy. Peliquas says, how do you do, fellow kids? Scrapetopolis says, was funny seeing Punk dressed like young Cena, but I found it corny and find myself becoming more and more indifferent to everything Punk does since his return to WWE. But it's wrestling, so don't let it ruin my life like so many people these days. Yeah, and on that note, I'm going to go enjoy my Friday night. Of course, Saturday is tomorrow, clearly, and Night of Champions, Morning of Champions, 10 a.m. Pacific, 11, 12, 1 p.m. Eastern is when the show's going down. Of course, Lars and I are going to go do our watch along of that tomorrow morning. So join us for that. Hey, also congratulations to Julia, who won the U.S. title. That was actually really cool. So yeah, hopefully we'll see you guys. It'll be youtube.com/Steven Larson, twitch.tv/Steven Larson. We've been accused of not being very good at the reacting these days. When shit happens, we just sort of go like this. Wow. So I don't know. It's just a place to hang out. Don't expect a lot. We'll see you guys around. I might get some McGriddles.